At the Plura cave, 3 buddies embarked on an exploration dive. Although it was a great place to dive, it can be risky to go deeper. On their way back, one of the divers became entangled in a rope at a depth of 200 feet, which caused panic to set in. Will the entangled diver be rescued before time ran out? They were in a race against the clock to keep their air. In contrast to the majority of Ranna's 200 caverns, which are unsuitable for diving, Plura is thought to be the deepest cave in northern Europe. It is located in Ranna, a municipality in the Norwegian county of Nordland. The Plura River's movement through limestone millions of years ago created the passages of Plura, a complex network of subterranean tunnels, chambers, and galleries that has enthralled both cavers and divers. Impressive marble formations are another feature of the cave system that enhance its natural beauty. However, there have been numerous fatalities and injuries from diving in the cave over the years. Even for the most experienced divers, exploring this cave is difficult due to the numerous barriers and problems that must be overcome as they make their way through the intricate system of tight underwater channels in the chilly waters. The potential for getting lost in the side corridors adds another layer of difficulty to the exploration process. The journey to the head pool involves a difficult vertical climb of more than 330 feet via a dry cave, requiring a considerable lot of physical endurance for those who are daring enough to take on the challenge. The ascent is undoubtedly difficult, and only those with the necessary experience and skill are likely to succeed. The fascination of this cave's clean and transparent waters is unmistakable, despite the difficulties that await explorers inside. The visibility in the cave's waters is thought to be very good, allowing divers to see up to 66 feet ahead of them. Therefore, it should come as no surprise that divers from all over the world have begun to flock to the cave. The additional appeal of this cave is that it is reachable year-round, allowing visitors to explore it. This is a big plus since it frees up explorers and divers to take on the challenges the cave brings without having to wait for certain weather conditions. A charming production manager from Valkeakoski, Kate Thompson, is 40 years old. Kate was born and reared in Essex's Epping Forest District, but her love of travel has led her all over the globe. When she was a youngster, she developed an interest in cave diving, and ever since then, her enthusiasm for the sport has only been greater. Kate first learned about cave diving from a television documentary about an introductory dive. She was deeply affected by the event, and she was immediately pulled to the pleasure and adrenaline that come with cave diving. Kate joined the diving and caving clubs while she was a student at Aston University. She started out as a self-taught diver, but with perseverance and dedication, she eventually attained professional training for cave diving. On one of her dives, she met Andrew Rantanen, who is now her boyfriend. Andrew and Kate have an uncontrolled passion for cave diving together. Since they first met, they have been connected by their shared experiences and passion of exploration. The pair takes pleasure in exploring various caverns all over the world and learning about their hidden mysteries. Following a thrilling 15-hour flight, Kate, her boyfriend Andrew, and their close friend Davis Radvilas were able to see the stunning Scandinavian nations of Finland, Sweden, and Norway. The group's shared love of diving came up during their lengthy drive, and as they conversed informally about it, Andrew eventually told the others about the amazing Plura cave, which is located in the middle of the magnificent country of Norway. The trio immediately chose to add the cave in their schedule after learning about the cave and the chance to travel to the area. They recognized they needed to buy more supplies to go along with their diving equipment and create a dive plan because this was not a pre-planned adventure. As a result, they made the decision to purchase many huge diving tanks, several underwater scooters, and other smaller pieces of equipment. To make a hole in the ice near the cave's entrance, they also leased a chainsaw. Finally, at precisely 6 o'clock in the morning, they arrived at the Jordbru farm in Ranna, a charming municipality in the Norwegian county of Nordland. The gang was beyond excited to set out on this once-in-a-lifetime experience because the Plura cave was just here. As they got closer to the cave's entrance in the early morning hours of March 2012, they reviewed their dive strategy once more. The idea was to plunge into the water at Plura Pond, travel to the cave's deepest point, and emerge from the water back where they had entered it. After going over the diving strategy, they began to take their equipment and cut holes in the ice near the cave's entrance. The dive was straightforward to start with. They dove into the Plura Pond's water, which was about 37 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature, and then proceeded swimming underground until they reached the cave's mouth. Due to its renowned astounding beauty, this place was well liked by recreational divers looking for a one-of-a-kind experience. As soon as they reached the cave's entrance, they began to move more quickly and efficiently by using their recently acquired underwater scooters. They all recycled their breath oxygen using closed-circuit rebreathers, which increased their dive time by preserving oxygen. They took on the task of exploring the deeper portions of the cave by navigating through constrained passageways that were completely dark and filled with ice-cold water since they were skilled cave divers. Using their scooters, they quietly dove on, taking in the breathtaking vistas of the cave. They arrived at the cave's deepest point, which is around 426 feet, after 2.5 hours. They'd briefly let go of their underwater scooters so they could admire the splendor of the cave. 5 minutes later, they got ready to return to the pond from which they had entered the cave. They started their return after reattaching their underwater scooters. Andrew was following closely behind Davis in the group, and Kate was behind Andrew. At about 200 feet down, on the way back, Andrew immediately realized Kate wasn't following him. He alerted Davis right away, and they quickly retreated a bit. They were fortunate to spot a diving light waving up and down after a few minutes. Even though they didn't know what was wrong with Kate, they could see she was in a terrible deal of pain. Kate was really terrified. As they drew near, it was painfully obvious when they evaluated Kate's situation that she was seriously entangled and in need of aid. Andrew told Davis to swim out of the water and call the authorities as soon as possible to get Kate the treatment she so desperately needed. The trio was filled with dread and anxiety as Kate battled to release herself from the tangled ropes. In an effort to reduce Kate's exposure to carbon dioxide, Andrew quickly went for a cylinder of gas while desperately trying to soothe her down amidst the turmoil. However, as Kate tried to switch her mouthpiece, she suddenly started to inadvertently swallow water, which made her choke and cough violently. Andrew could only watch helplessly as Kate gasped and choked, fighting for every breath at this point as his terror started to grow. He tried desperately to help her put on the mouthpiece, but as the seriousness of the situation became all too evident, he found himself shivering violently. Despite his best attempts, he was compelled to watch as his girlfriend's life cruelly and slowly drained from her body, causing her to pass away in front of him. Andrew felt his heart pounding in his chest and his mind racing with thoughts of terror and desperation as his shaking hands reached out to try and liberate the lifeless body. Even more scared and dismayed than before, he was unable to free Kate's body from the entanglement, despite his best and greatest efforts. Andrew was forced to make the painful choice to continue his ascension, leaving Kate's body behind. Due to his heavy heart and his low gas supply, he eventually extended his decompression stops as a result of the delay. Despite his grief, Andrew made an effort to maintain his composure in order to find his way. He pushed himself to get to the surface safely and unharmed, persevering with unwavering will. Andrew was met by Davis as he emerged from the water, his thoughts blank with astonishment and his heart heavy with grief. He phoned the local police after arriving outside a few hours before him. Davis has been awaiting the arrival of the local law enforcement. Nevertheless, as fate would have it, the divers who were to perform the rescue were not nearby. Thus, it took them about an hour to get there. But when Andrew broke the heartbreaking news to the rescue team, he found himself sobbing uncontrollably. Unfortunately, the rescue turned into a body recovery. His friend Davis could only watch in disbelief as he battled to come to terms with the truth of his predicament, because the weight of his loss was nearly too much for him to handle. Davis felt he had to be strong for his friend, delivering words of consolation and assurance to assist him find some sense of peace and solace amidst the pandemonium, despite the overwhelming loss and anguish that pervaded the air. Later that evening, Kate's body was successfully located, providing some measure of comfort to the devastated friends and family she had left behind. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you liked what you saw, please click the like and subscribe buttons and the bell icon to be notified when we post another thrilling cave diving story.